I believe it was Amarantha.
Yeah, it was Amarantha.
She took out his eye.
With her fingernail.
With her fingernail. Ouch.
Ew.
First of all, it's disgusting. Welcome to another episode of the Two Girls with No Lives podcast.
Where two girls with no lives have a conversation and you're just here for it.
I'm Katie.
And I'm Aubrie.
We always have that pause.
Yeah, we never know who's supposed to say the next part.
Right. I love that. It's kind of my favorite thing about our intro is the intro and then a pause. What are we talking about?
Dramatic pause.
Dramatic pause.
Today we are talking about A Court of Thorns and Roses, Book 1, obviously.
Mm-hmm. That is the official ACOTAR song. I don't care what anyone says.
Definitely. If you haven't heard it, go to TikTok right now. Listen to it and watch all of the fan videos. So good.
Literally, like, all right, so obviously we'll get into that, but we just did our third reread of the first ACOTAR book. Mm-hmm. And I literally, after finishing it, I had to go and just play that song on repeat.
Oh,
and I just was like, okay, Feyre. Epic. Yeah, it's amazing.
I know. The first book really wants me to, or makes me want to just like dress up in like pretty frilly dresses and just like run in a field
frolic
of flowers.
Through the flowers.
Yeah.
It does me too, for sure. So we're listening to the dramatized audio, and it's really it's a nice experience.
Yeah, this is the first time we've listened to the dramatized version. We listened to the first dramatized book that we listened to as a series was Fourth Wing.
Yes.
Great.
That was a great introduction to graphic audio.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't think I'd like it.
I didn't either.
Though.
Yeah. It was I like can't go back now. So yeah, I mean, and I've heard a lot of people say that the ACOTAR one was really good, but I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna like it.
Right at first, Feyre's voice it threw me off.
It threw me off too, because I picture her with a like pretty voice, but a little more rough.
Yeah.
And the girl that's doing Feyre is very gentle and
very wispy.
Yeah. And that's fine.
Yeah.
But
she's actually really great.
She is. I've gotten more used to it now. It's just different from when I remember, or what I kind of pictured, and from the audiobook. But quick side note, I'm so excited for Elizabeth Evans.
I know.
Oh my gosh,
that should be really soon, right?
Pretty soon. I think it's like April.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So pretty soon. It'll catch up.
And we're gonna do our fourth reread.
Yeah, because I have to hear Elizabeth Evans do her thing.
Well, so we finished Onyx Storm, and no spoilers there, but at least me, I mean, we were like, so what are we reading next?
Right.
Because we normally read the same thing. And I was like, I really need a comfort read, and like ACOTAR is such a comfort read, and even more so like rereading it for the third time, like it's just like almost I could just word or like mouth some of the
I know, yeah,
it.
definitely. I was almost like, oh, okay, I guess I could go back to Prythian, but now, especially that we're actually like doing it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I like forgot. And I actually touched on this in one of the last podcasts that we did, but it's like the first book is so good, and like I kind of forgot. I mean, it's the reason that so many people get immediately hooked in the series, because the first book just grabs you, and it's incredible. It's incredible. And rereading it again, I'm just like, wow. I want everyone to read this book.
I know.
I want everyone to experience this for the first time.
I know. Oh, gosh. I know. I forgot how much I love some of these characters.
Yeah.
And just like the whole storyline. And Farrah. Like, I forgot how much I love Farrah.
I did too. I definitely like got like I don't know. I was really loving Violet, and I was really loving like Selena and even Bryce. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, Farrah, whatever. She was cool, but like I think I've seen some better ones. But now that I'm going back to Farrah, I'm like, Farrah's kind of the OG. Yeah. I mean, she just goes through a lot. A
lot. Yeah, no, I know. And I'll say, like, I actually have some new theories that I've actually never thought of.
Yeah, same.
Before.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting.
It is.
How that happened. Mm-hmm. But if you don't know, ACOTAR is about a girl named Farrah Archeron. She's a human girl who, oh gosh, how much can we say without giving away?
Well, the back of the book basically says a girl kills a wolf in the woods, and a creature comes and gets her, and her life completely changes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the best way to, I mean, it's a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, but on a like totally different level. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, before I even knew that was actually a thing, I remember saying, "Oh yeah, it's just kind of like Beauty and the Beast." I think that's kind of the best way I think to describe it.
Yeah, I agree. And so if you haven't read it, read it. It's great. On that note, this is going to have spoilers for the first book only. We're going to try not to spoil anything else for the rest of the series.
Yes.
We will be covering all of the books, so make sure you check back for that if you enjoy this video. But yes, at this point, if you haven't read it and you don't want spoilers, get on out of here. This video is not for you yet.
Yet.
But come back.
Yet.
After you read it.
Yes.
Because it's so good.
You're gonna, I mean, because honestly, when you do read it for the first time, especially if you don't have a friend reading it with you, you're gonna want someone to talk to.
Yes.
And like, I had read almost the whole series when you finally read the first book.
No?
No?
No. So we started, I know you were on the third when I was on the first.
I think I had finished it. I think I was reading, maybe I was. I remember being on the last book when you were finishing Mist and Fury.
That's probably true because you would have easily.
I might have been on like Frost and Starlight or right. Maybe I was. I don't remember, but I had a head start.
Well, I just remember when you told me about. You didn't tell me what it was. Yeah. But you told me your reaction to the ending of the third book. I was just starting the series. Yeah. And I was like terrified and actually ended up just going down a rabbit hole of anxious thoughts and needed to finish the series as fast as I could.
It was actually hilarious. I did not think it was going to affect you that much.
I ended up reading it twice in 1 month. The whole thing. Yeah, you everything. Did. So... that was interesting. And, like, some parts, like, multiple times. Like, I've gone back and read countless times, different parts of all the books. Except for the last one. But I'm very excited to reread the last one.
I am, too.
I didn't love it the first time. I know you didn't love it.
Yeah, like, there were parts that I really liked, but there was a lot of parts that I was like, oh, okay, can we get on with it?
Oh, actually, this will be my first reread of the last one.
It will for me too, actually. Yes.
I stopped there. I was like, I can't do it again.
That's true. Yeah, I've reread the first 3 books twice and now on my third. So the last 2, this will only be my second time.
I thought you did end up reading Frost and Starlight. Oh, I did.
You did, but yeah, I didn't. Interesting. Because I was like, at that point, I might as well commit to the whole thing. And it was nice ending it at the third. Yeah. Being done. But
so, you want to get into the thick of it?
Let's get into the thick of it.
Okay.
So again, this is your chance to click away or listen to another episode of ours.
Yeah. Only listen to us.
Only listen to us. Yeah. Because now you're stuck. But yes, so the book begins. Hold on, I can probably remember the actual line. The forest had become a labyrinth of snow and ice. It's something like that.
Yeah.
I think I touched on this too in another podcast. Mm-hmm. When you know everything that you know, and again, not saying anything, but going back and rereading this very beginning part of the book hit me different. Mm-hmm. It really did. And obviously this was my third time, but like, I don't know, there was something because knowing the real significance of the beginning of this book and how important it truly was to the story, it just got me. It really did. And it got me so much that I started a painting of the first scene.
I know. I love that. I love that.
I could see it. I literally felt my inner Feyre. Yeah. In that moment. But yeah. So it starts with Girl in the Woods.
So yeah. So I have had some new theories. Like, kind of starting at the beginning. Kind of jumping a little bit. This whole thing will probably be jumping around a bit. Mm-hmm. But, so, let's just try to remember the whole story, okay? So, yeah, again, spoilers. So
for the first
Feyre, book. Yeah, for the first book. So, Feyre is basically the sole provider for her family. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And she goes out and hunts. She's got this little love interest boy.
Oh, yeah. Little Isaac Hale.
Yeah. And her sisters are horrible. By the way, her sisters are horrible.
They're horrible.
Like, I remembered that they were horrible, but then I was rereading and I was like, oh my gosh.
Wow, they're really not,
Yeah.
Not good.
They really suck. Her dad sucks.
Her dad sucks.
Yeah. All of that just sucks. Gosh.
Yeah.
I don't know. But then, so she goes out, she kills this wolf. Mm-hmm. And the deer. She takes back both, except she can't carry the whole wolf. So
right, she's got to skin the wolf.
Mm-hmm. But she kind of is like, oh, I think he may be a fairy.
Right.
But
she does suspect because he's very large, and she's like, well, that's the possibility. We're right on the border.
Yeah.
Could it be? So whatever, she does her thing. She's got to provide. And she's like, I can make some money off this pelt.
Right. And her sisters immediately, of course, are like, oh,
I want new boots.
Yeah. When she needs them, she says, like, I caught this time. She was like, my boots have like holes and stuff in them. But, and Nesta's boots are barely worn.
Right.
And like Nesta didn't go out and chop the wood.
I know.
She sucks.
She went out and chopped that wood later. She went out next morning and chopped that wood.
Make sure she's getting something.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, so they go to this market and there's these three, what are they called?
The children of, the
children of the blessed are there.
The children of the blessed are there. And I had a thought, and then as I continued, the theory and the thought went away.
Okay.
What?
Well, I have a thought.
So I won't say what I was going to say, but continue.
Oh, because you kind of debunked it?
Well, yeah, it did.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll just say what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Just, why don't you say your thoughts anyway, even though it's kind of debunked or whatever?
Well, I can't remember exactly what it was because once I got to the point, and it actually might have even been in the second book, that I was like, oh no, that can't be what I was thinking. And I honestly don't even remember what it was, but I remember getting to that part and thinking, well, like, who are the children of the blessed really? Like, what's the real deal there?
I was gonna say that same thing. So I was like, as I was reading this, I was thinking in my head, why did they think that? Who is telling them that? Who's going off? And Feyre even says, I know I'm saying Feyre, I'm sorry, I'm from the South. Feyre, that feels even more country to, I'm sorry, Feyre. Little Feyre, bless her heart, golly. Anyway, so Feyre, she even says, like, anybody who's gone hasn't come back.
Right.
And so, who is coming back and saying, oh yeah, this is great. Like this, you're just going to be treated like a queen, going over there. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. So I'm curious. Because I still am wondering that. Mm-hmm. It doesn't, I don't know.
Do you think they will come back into play at any point?
Potentially.
Because
they're not really talked about. I mean, they're talked about again a little bit in the second, but that's really kind of it.
Yeah. I don't know. But so then after that.
Yes.
So Farrah is going to go sell the furs of both animals. And she picks this. Is it called a mercenary? Okay. So she picks this mercenary and she ends up paying her, or she asks her, where did you find this? Did you actually kill it? She's asking all these questions.
Yeah, the mercenary almost kind of points her out and is like, hey.
Yeah.
Come here.
And then she ends up paying her way more than it's worth, And then she's like, oh, no, it wasn't a fairy. Go on about your day. Don't tell anybody about this. And stop hunting in that part of the woods.
Right.
It almost, the first 2 times I read that, I was like, okay, yeah, she's just she knows her crap, whatever. The 3rd time I read it, I finally was like, no, I think she's in with the fae. If not even the fae and being glamored.
Yeah.
So I think she came to confirm that a human girl did, in fact, kill him.
Same. First 2 reads, I was like, yeah, whatever. She's mercenary. She's one, she had a little more money, maybe. Maybe she wasn't from this area, whatever, had a little more, whatever. We'll let it go. But yeah, and I actually, she points out this, scar or bite or something, this wound on her leg, and her veins turned black. And I'm just like, what's the deal there? What's going on? I wonder if she's a witch.
She could be.
But I do think that she was there. I don't really know how exactly, but I do think that she was probably there to confirm that Andrus was dead.
Yeah, I definitely think so. So, okay, so that happens. Farrah goes back. She gives her sisters money. They spend it, whatever. They go back that night. They're eating the food, and this beast knocks down their door. Obviously, who we know and love now, Tamlin. And yeah, he's like, "You're a liar. You're a murderer. I know you didn't do it because you're the smallest one here.
Right.
So I bet it was one of you and y'all are just lying."
Right.
And Farrah's like, "No, I did it.
It was me."
And she's like,
Bet.
got
Come on.
I don't even know what she grabbed, a knife or something.
Yeah, I think it was a knife from the table, and she tried to, or she might have even had a little dagger.
Yeah, I don't know. She was
by.
ready to square up with him.
She was like, I'll fight you. I ain't scared.
I ain't scared.
But that was it. She knew there was a possibility that wolf was a fairy.
Yeah.
And I think she was, even though it's not explicitly said, I think she was a little bit prepared.
Probably.
For someone to come looking.
Yeah. So anyway, so they go off.
He says, listen, a life for a life. You killed my friend. You got to come back to Prithian with me. She's like, okay, I guess. I'll go to your dungeon, whatever.
Well, she's like, okay, well, if you have to kill me, don't do it inside.
Right.
Kill me outside. But then she literally says, I don't want them to have to clean that mess up. Bless her heart.
Bless her heart.
She just... Oh.
She's even still looking out for him. But yeah. So she is. She's like, just do it outside. I don't want them worrying about it.
Yeah. So, but then he's like, or I can take you to my home in Prithian.
Right.
And you can just live out the rest of your days there. And Farrah's father tells her, go and don't come back. But more of not like an insult.
Right.
But just
yeah. Don't die.
Take your chance. Yeah. So they go. It did stop.
It did it?
think so.
No, it's still going.
Oh, that was confusing.
Yeah, I'm checking up here.
Okay.
And seeing if it's still counting or not.
Sorry, y'all. These technology issues are still coming right for us.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So, yes, he takes her to Prithian.
Mm-hmm. They go. She's like, I've still got this dagger under my shirt.
Right.
And she goes into a sleep that he puts her in. Mm-hmm. And she wakes up without her dagger.
Right.
Golly.
Right.
So,
like, ugh. Mm-hmm.
So, I forgot how much Farah at the beginning of the book was like, I've got to get out of here. When
I know.
she's like being clothed and fed and bathed and
right. And it's like, girlfriend, this is the best kind of treatment you've had in a long time.
And she feels so guilty. She's like, oh, I'm not fulfilling the promise to my mother. And
right.
He finally is like, your family is well taken care of.
Right. Right. That's definitely one of the first moments where you're like, okay, Tam.
Okay, Tam.
What's going on? So we get into Tamlin's court, the spring court. Mm-hmm. And I fell in love with the spring court.
Yeah.
I really did. I was like, okay, I could do this. I could live here.
Yeah. Very magical, very pretty flower garden outside the window. Mm-hmm. I think she's like Elaine would die, basically.
Right, exactly. So Tamlin takes her in. Tamlin is the name of this beast.
Mm-hmm. And he turns into a fae man who is beautiful. Beautiful blonde-haired. Green-eyed.
Mm-hmm. However, he wears a mask on his face, like a masquerade ball mask. And she's like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's some weird attire, whatever. And then we meet pretty little fox boy, Lucian.
Live, laugh, Lucian.
I gotta say that I wasn't sure for sure who. I was like, one of these guys is gonna be the love interest. Mm-hmm. But which one? Mm-hmm. I low-key was almost thinking, is Lucian the love interest?
I know. I was totally, my first read, leaning towards Lucian being the love interest.
Yeah.
No offense, Tamlin, but Lucian's personality is, like, great.
Yeah.
I mean, he's, like, a kind of a jerk.
He's kind of a jerk.
But
like,
funny.
in a, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a jerk, but I care about you kind of way.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. So they meet, so they go, and and with the masks, she's like, okay, this has to be some kind of trend. Because
right. The servants are wearing them. Mm-hmm. Both these high fae are wearing them. Like, what's the deal? Mm-hmm. And this sickness has caused this mask to say.
Blight.
The blight, as they call it. Mm-hmm. So anyway, as time goes on, Farah's trying to adjust to living in the spring court and, like, what's up with my family? Are they okay? What am I really doing here? Like, I'm not a prisoner, but I can't really go anywhere, but I can. Like, she has some freedom. Like, I can go out with Lucian and I can go out with Tamlin, but Tamlin's kind of, in and out. Mm-hmm. No one's really talking to me that much. I just have my dinners with them. Mm-hmm. And
only dinner. That's the only meal they have together. Mm-hmm. And
she's trying to adjust. She's trying to, and coming from a land that hates fairies. Mm-hmm. And she herself hated fairies.
Yeah.
It's quite an adjustment for her.
And she's constantly trying to figure out a way to get back home.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which one night she sees her dad out the window and he has, like, come for her, and so she's, like, getting her stuff together and she's like, okay, I've only got these couple things. I'm just gonna go out the window. So she goes out. I think she goes out the window, right?
She does. Mm-hmm.
And she's, like, running through, and then it ends up turning into her two sisters, and then it ends up being just I don't remember what
I think it was one of the Naga. I think.
You think so? I thought it was something else.
It might have been.
I don't know. I don't remember exactly all of these.
Oh no, it wasn't one of the Naga. It was another creature. Mm-hmm. The Starts with B, I think.
I don't know.
I don't remember. I remember.
But Tamlin finds her.
Yeah.
And he's like, yo, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm. He's like, that ain't your dad. Mm-hmm. And she's like, you know what? You're right.
He wouldn't
even come for me.
Because he's got a jacked up knee and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. So after that, like, so she just, she's trying to adjust to life.
She's trying to figure out what's going on. Mm-hmm. She's trying to figure out if there's a way to break this, what exactly do they call it? Not the treaty, because that's the, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's the treaty, but like she's trying to figure out how she can get out of, having to live in Prithian.
Right.
Because,
yeah.
He says that it has to do with the treaty or whatever.
Right,
but
right.
She starts trying to get people like on her side.
Mm-hmm.
So Tamlin, there's this one day that he asks her, can I take you for a tour on the grounds? Mm-hmm. And she's like, nah, I'm going to spend today alone. Well, then she goes straight to Lucian.
Right.
And is like, I'm going to ride with Lucian and see if he'll kind of be on my side with this and convince Tamlin to like let me go. Mm-hmm. And Lucian,
yep,
he convinces her. He's like, oh yeah, there's this creature. Does he tell her the name of the creature?
Yeah, he does.
So, so he says there's this creature called the Sooooo. Mm-hmm. Is that how you say it? Mm-hmm. And you can catch him with, I don't know, I think
he's like a chicken and some rope, and he goes, set a trap, and maybe you can catch the Sooooo, and it will answer your questions.
Right. So Farah does that. And the Sooooo says, stay with the High Lord.
Mm-hmm. There's no way to break the treaty. Mm-hmm. This is, you have to do what the treaty says. Mm-hmm. And she just says, stay with the High Lord. You will be safe. Mm-hmm. And she's like, okay, I guess I'm going to figure that out. Well, at that moment, too, she's like, wait, is Tamlin the High Lord? Because at this point, she just thought he was some, powerful high fae, but didn't think he was the High Lord. Mm-hmm. And so now she knows, okay, this isn't just some high fae. This is the High Lord of the Spring Court. Mm-hmm. And so she's like, this is a powerful, scary dude who's nice.
Who's nice to her.
To her.
Like, tries to be. I mean,
tries to be.
Smell, or what does he say?
Oh yeah, he says something like, your hair is clean. He's like trying to compliment her. Like when she finally gets there, she like won't eat the food. The other thing too is the humans have been told fairies can't tell a lie. Mm-hmm. And so she's like believing most of what they're saying, and then she comes to find out, she's like, no, fairies can lie.
Yeah, there's like all of these things that fairies have basically told humans over the years.
Right.
They've made them believe, like iron and...
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know what else. But the only actual thing that will hurt them is ash arrows,
right.
which is what she happened to have.
Correct.
To kill Andrus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But... So after that, so she starts building trust. She's like, all right, I'm going to live here. Mm-hmm. I'm going to live here. I'm going to figure this out.
Yep.
Whatever. This is my life now. So what happens next?
Kind of a lot.
Okay, so after that, so they start building trust. Mm-hmm. They start, Farah starts kind of like building this relationship with Tamlin. Mm-hmm. And we might be skipping a bunch. I mean,
there's a few things, but yeah, I mean, we're giving the general idea of the story.
So is it before or after the Pool of Starlight that
Kalanmai?
Mm-hmm.
I think that happens before.
Okay, so Tamlin... Oh, and she's finally like, oh, I paint. And so he gets her paints and stuff, and she like starts painting again and can do as much as she wants. Mm-hmm. And he takes her to like this gallery, and she just loves it. I mean, she's just kind of living her best life.
There's this gallery that's been in the manor that no one's gone into, and he's like, you like to paint? She's like, yeah. And he's like, okay, all right, we can work with that. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna hook you up. He gets the gallery all cleaned up. He gets, it's it's kind of a dream come true, really. It's like, that's all she wants to do.
Right.
Really. She just wants to know that her family is safe and paint.
And he also confirms that a little bit more for her. He's
Right.
like, you know, I don't know what he tells her exactly,
But
but yeah.
Yeah. He's like, your family is safe. I've taken care of them. She also, let's add, cannot read or write. She knows very little. And so he tries to offer to teach her, and she's like, nah. I'm not letting some high fae make fun of me for not knowing how to read, and
Yeah, she thinks that they're going to call her illiterate because, I mean, they do dog on her a little bit.
They did dog on her a little
Lucian
bit.
especially.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But so he takes her to this pool of starlight.
Yes.
And she's like, this is one thing that I picked up on the third read. She's like, it's not water, but it's not oil. It's just, I don't really know. It's just starlight, I guess.
Yeah. I kind of remembered that it wasn't water, but I didn't remember exactly how it was explained.
Yeah.
It's really interesting the way that's explained.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah.
So they go there. They're starting to, like, you know, have this little blooming romance kind of thing happening. And they end up, like, kissing, don't they? Like, no, that's not yet?
No, not yet.
No, it was after.
I think it was after.
Because, okay, so everybody starts preparing for this celebration of some sort.
Right.
And Tamlin is like, stay in your room tonight. This is not for you.
Right. You do not need to be a part of this. It's called Callan May. Don't know.
They were pronounced differently.
They did pronounce it differently in the dramatized. I was always calling it Callan May before.
I think it's Callan Mai because I think that Sarah J. Maas tells the narrators how to pronounce things. Like the regular narrators, they obviously didn't talk to her for dramatized. So.
Right. So, but anyway, yes. So it's a spring court kind of holiday thing. Tradition. And they're like, nope, you cannot go to this. It's really, like, it's dangerous. Like, you need to just stay in your room. And she's like, I don't want to. She keeps hearing these drums. She's like, man, these drums. I gotta go toward these drums.
They're calling me.
I gotta get dancing.
Yeah. So little Farah, adventurous Farah, she leaves and goes and gets her horse, and she follows the sound of these drums, and she starts seeing all these fires.
Right.
And she gets there. She's just kind of like walking around, and then all of a sudden she sees these 3 fairies, and they're not wearing masks. And so she's like, okay, they obviously are not spring court.
Right.
And I'm about to die, basically. Because they were like, oh.
They come up to her, and they're like, yo, what up, mama? Hey.
I know what I'm doing to you tonight. And so she kind of, well, I guess she doesn't find out yet. But so, like, it's kind of getting hectic. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die.
Like,
I'm going to die. I'm going to
this
die.
is it. Right here. Gonna die. No one's looking at me. No one knows that I'm here.
Right.
Yeah.
She's just this tiny little human who is being preyed on. And they're backing her up to the tree line.
Right.
And then out of nowhere, she hears,
there you are. I've been looking for you.
And she turns around and she's like, oh, whoa. That is the most handsome man I have ever seen. And he's like, gets the fairies to go away. They're like scared in his presence. She's like, whoa, that's weird.
What's going on? Yeah, he pretends to know her to kind of get her out of the situation. And she's like, she kind of realizes, she's like, oh, might have gotten myself in a worse situation. This guy is scary. There's something about him that made these guys run away. Yeah. So why am I still here?
And he's like, can I walk you somewhere?
Right.
And she's like, no, I'm going to go find my friends.
Yeah,
and
my friends are here somewhere.
Yeah, and she ends up saying something. She's like, oh, they just went to go get refreshments.
Yeah.
And she's like, I realized by his face that I just gave myself away.
Right. Like all the refreshments that ended a little while ago.
Right.
Yeah.
So he lets her leave. She goes, and then she runs into Lucian, and he's like, "What are you doing here?"
That part got me. I like laughed.
Yeah.
I remember it being funny, but he literally like throws her over his shoulder.
I know.
Like a sack of potatoes.
And he just like runs her back.
He like
hold on my
Edward
horse.
Cullen like runs through the forest, kind of runs.
Yeah, Edward Cullen. Oh god.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and he like puts her back in the house and he's like, stay.
Yeah, he's like, do not come out again. I'm serious. He would have come and found you.
Right.
And then he explains the whole thing. He's like, Cal and Mai is this night where there's like a cave, and Tamlin, all of these women will line up, and Tamlin has to pick one.
Yep.
And he turns into this like beast kind of feral thing that they're going to basically like hook up.
Right.
But it's for the sake of magic.
It's for the sake of magic. It like helps the flowers grow. All the other men afterward, they get to pick whoever they want and go for it.
And everybody gets to hook up and
everyone's
make their
cool
own
with it.
magic.
They're like, yeah, let's make them flowers grow.
So yeah, they
She goes in her room and she's like, man, I'm hungry. I need a snack. It's like 2 a.m. I think she like falls asleep for a little bit. She wakes up and she's like, I need a cookie.
and she gets jealous. She's like, it's like 2 a.m. and like he's still
Oh
not
yeah,
home.
she does get
And
jealous.
so
She's
I'm
like,
sure she was
well,
like pretty.
why am I getting jealous?
Yeah.
Yeah, like why do I care? Why do I care that Tamlin? Why would Tamlin do that? It's horrible that Tamlin would do that.
It's a stupid tradition.
Stupid tradition. She's like, I'm going to the kitchen. She goes down to the kitchen. She gets herself a cookie, a couple other snacks. And there stands Tamlin. And he's all like, beastie and high fae male.
Yeah, and I would have chosen you. I smell you.
I smell you.
Oh god. Yeah.
But yeah, basically they have a little moment.
And he bites her neck.
He bites her neck. And she slaps him across the face. She says, I'm going to bed.
Yeah. I just wanted a cookie.
I just wanted a cookie.
Yeah. So she goes to bed. He goes to bed, obviously. And they wake up the next morning, and she at first is like looking for a scarf or something to cover the bite mark. And then she's like, you know what? Actually, I'm just going to rock this because he needs to feel bad for me.
Right.
Because he did this.
So I think she even like braids her hair to the side so that like it's full blown, the neck is showing.
And she walks in and she's like, good morning.
Good morning.
How are y'all?
And they're like, they got like hangovers. They're like sitting at the table like, like dying. And she's like, how is everyone? Did we have fun?
Yeah, Lucian's like, you're chipper.
Yeah. I think Lucian's a little freaked out. He's like, what happened?
Yeah.
Did something happen? And then he notices the bite mark.
Yeah.
And he goes, what happened? She goes, Tamlin did it.
I know, and Tamlin doesn't
Tamlin.
even feel bad. Tamlin's like, yeah, you shouldn't have come out of your room. I told you not to.
Right. Oh, that is a hilarious moment.
Yeah,
but I will say, too, though, like, that moment was the first kind of, like, somewhat spicy moment in the book.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, oh, okay. What's happening here?
Hold on.
What's happening?
It's really hot.
I don't have
turn
my
the AC
seatbelt on. We're going to the fast zone.
Right.
But yeah. Things progress, but not like fast. I mean, like it's still pretty slow. Like they kind of like, yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to say he says to her though, he's like, she asked me not to be gentle, and I would have been gentle with you.
He does say that. Yeah.
So yeah, that's what really made it like spicy.
Is it hot in the room?
Oh my gosh.
It's a little warm in here, don't you think?
What is happening to me?
Yeah. No, it's yeah. You're wondering, we're like, all right, what else we're gonna get?
Yeah.
In this little bookie. So anyway, yeah, I think a little after that is when the pool, the Starlight pool.
I think they go back to it.
I think they do. They go back. They go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because that's when he is like, I want you to see through my eyes.
Yes.
And he like removes the glamour, and she sees everything, and she hears this music, but he's like, I'll do it if you kiss me.
Right.
And she's like, yeah, whatever, do it.
But doesn't she only kiss, like, his hand?
She kisses his hand.
Yeah.
She was fine. She kisses his hand.
But then it's so funny, because she goes back to the manor, and she starts seeing all these extra people.
Yeah.
And then she sees Alice, but she's like, where's Alice? And Alice is like, is something wrong with you?
Right.
Or,
I'm right here.
And then she realizes Tamlin glamored everything to look somewhat normal so that she didn't get freaked out and run away.
Right.
And she realizes all of these people have been around her the whole time.
Right.
And so the night that she went and thought it was her father,
yeah,
she was like, oh, I had an audience. That's good.
an audience. Who knows how many fairies were watching me
and laughing.
That. And laughing. Yeah. Yes. And like Alice, for instance, looked, normal, had normal skin, whatever. And then after the glamour was removed, it's described that she has tree bark skin. And it's like, I'd be a little freaked out too if I woke up.
You should paint her.
I thought about it. Yeah, I've thought about painting Alice.
Yeah. I love Alice.
I do too. I really love Alice.
Oh, goodness.
But
but then Lucian says a really funny line.
Oh, it's a great line.
A great line. He says, will you give me a kiss too? Or if I hang the moon on a string,
would you give me a kiss too?
Yes.
Oh
my
gosh.
I love him.
I've seen a lot of people on the internet being like, and she still chose Tamlin.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Even in that moment, I was like, all right, Lucian. Fox boy. I'm going to keep saying fox boy too because his mask is a fox mask.
Yeah.
And he has red hair.
Yeah.
And also, Lucian is not from the Spring Court.
He's the emissary for the Spring Court.
He's the emissary for the Spring Court, but he is from the Autumn Court. He is one of the sons of the High Lord of Autumn. And that's a whole
other thing.
That's a whole other thing.
We'll get into in another book.
Yeah.
More detail. But basically,
Definitely.
they do give some backstory.
Yeah.
So basically, Lucian, he is the son of a High Lord of Autumn Court. And he fell in love with just a regular fairy.
She wasn't like nobility or anything. Yeah.
Not high fae even or anything. So she, he's like, yeah, I just know the mating bond is going to lock into place. And it didn't. And his father was like, unacceptable. My son will not marry this girl. And his brothers killed her. They actually said in the book, put her down, which is so sad.
I know.
It's horrible.
I know.
But they killed her right in front of him.
Made him watch. Yeah.
After that, he is like, I don't even know exactly. I guess he just like goes off and like he ends up killing one of his brothers, and Tamlin ends up killing the other. Yeah. And there's still more brothers. Don't worry, they've got a lot of kids.
There's a lot. Yeah.
But they took out a few of them at least, and that's when Lucian went to the Spring Court. He was like, F this crap, I'm out.
Yeah. I'm living here. Yeah. But yes, so skip a little bit. We come to another party, but this one Farah is allowed to participate in. This is the summer solstice party, and they call it something else too. There's another name for it, but I can't exactly remember.
I can't remember.
But anyway, this one's fun. This was the moment where I definitely wanted to wear a flowy dress and frolic in the fields and just be a fairy.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Live a simple life.
So obviously it's the celebration of summer, and Tamlin, she's like, where's Tamlin at? Look up at the band. He's playing the fiddle. Fiddle playing Tamlin.
Yep.
But no, yeah, she starts, Lucian's like, don't drink any of the wine.
She doesn't trust Lucian anymore.
She doesn't.
Not fully.
Right, because of the whole cereal thing. She's like, did we even talk? Oh yeah, we did talk about the cereal, but we didn't talk about that.
After the cereal, she basically, these other like, I think it's the
that's the Naga, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. They come and they're like gonna kill them both, and Farah actually like shoots the rope so that the cereal can like be free first.
Right.
And they were all pretty impressed by that, but Lucian had told her that he would like come and like basically rescue her if anything got out of hand, and he hesitated.
Right.
And he admits that to her later on, and he apologizes, but he does say that he hesitated, and I think Tamlin ended up
Tamlin comes and saves her. Yeah. And that was one of the first moments where she was like, okay, maybe Tamlin isn't that bad of a dude.
Yeah. But then, so going back to this summer solstice party, she doesn't fully trust him. She's like, I mean, he could be telling me one thing and it's a totally other thing. So I'm just going to drink it. Whatever. I'm going to have fun tonight.
Yeah.
So she drinks the fairy wine and she's having a blast. She's like, where's Tamlin? He's up there playing fiddle. And she's just like dancing. She's vibing, dancing, having a good time.
Yep. And then Tamlin puts that fiddle down. Starts dancing with her, and he says, let's go somewhere. I want to show you something. And I guess it's like not fireflies. You know what I mean? Like they go into this like field and they see these lights.
Yeah.
I kind of picture it like fireflies, but it's not. I mean, like it's something obviously magical and more to it, but it's a very beautiful moment. And they're happy, and she's laughing, and that's when we finally get the moment, the kiss, the first real kiss.
Yep.
And Farah says it's the happiest moment of her life.
Oh, I know.
I know.
Bless her heart.
So anyway, yeah.
So then they go on, and this is like a little later, I think. Some of this may be out of order.
The next morning is when things really change. I'm pretty sure it's I think that happened before. Yeah, it did.
Did it happen? It happened right after Calamine.
Yeah. It
so
did.
They find this head, and he's like, that's just the humor of the High Lord of the Night Court.
Right.
That's what they say, right?
Right. And she's like, man, who's this High Lord of the Night Court? Like, this sounds like the Night Court is not a good place to be.
Yeah, and she doesn't know any of it, but yeah, they find the severed head, and it's like crazy, and Lucian like throws up and stuff. Oh, we forgot to talk about the
my wings. She took my wings.
Yeah.
Oh, I almost can't.
I know.
It gets me every time.
I know. That's so sad.
I know. Basically, one night, Farah wakes up, and Tamlin has brought in this fairy who is like covered in blood, and his wings have been removed, and we don't know who she is, but all he keeps saying is, she took my wings, she took my wings. And Farah basically, I mean, there's nothing they can do. He puts him up on the table. They're trying to save him, but he's too far gone. And so Farah, she holds his hand and kind of is just with him until he goes. And it's in that moment that she does kind of realize, she's like, I shouldn't have, like, why did I kill that wolf?
She actually apologizes.
She does
to
apologize.
Tamlin, because she sees Tamlin feeling so sad over this fairy that he doesn't even know.
Right.
And she's like, I can't imagine how he felt for his friend that I killed. And then she apologizes to him. Yeah. The whole thing is super sad.
It is. It's really sad. I mean, I remember the very first time I read that going, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's like the first kind of like dark, like really dark thing that we see. And it's powerful.
And I cried so hard the first time I heard that. Like, oh gosh, that's just so heartbreaking. Especially the regular audio version.
Yeah.
The way they speak it is super sad.
I know. It really is. It really is. Oh my gosh.
I know. Well, not to jump around too much, but back up to where we are now.
Yes, let's forwarding up again.
Yeah, so I think it's after summer solstice.
Yeah.
That they go out, like, her, Tamlin, and Lucian go out, And and by the way, I'll just say quickly. So yeah, Farah does realize that there is some her that they are afraid of, and she's like, I don't know who this.
I gotta figure out who this is. The Surreal does kind of tell her a little bit about this king in the content of King of Highburn, and we don't know much at this point. We just know that he's not a good dude, and there's possibility of war.
Right.
And the human territory being
wiped out. And like this sickness being spread there.
Correct. So that's kind of all we know. Like she knows of this King of Highburn, doesn't know much else.
Right. But so they go out, and I don't know exactly what they're doing, but at some point they're like, okay, Farah, you need to hide. And
they go somewhere, they come back to the spring court, and they make her hide
because she can't see, but she can hear whoever this person is. And basically he's like talking, he's like, she's getting impatient and you're running out of time and just all this stuff, and Farah like gets freaked out, like it's just normal, right? She's like, I don't know what's going on. And and so then after that,
so that is before the summer solstice.
Is that before? Again?
Because the summer solstice is basically the right before things change. They wake up the next morning, they're eating breakfast together. Lucian's like, you guys are happy.
Yes,
and
I remember that.
They've just had their first kiss. Everything is great. Everything's wonderful. And then all of a sudden, Tamlin and Lucian are like, hide behind the curtains.
And like Lucian presses into her. And
they put a glamour on her to try to hide her. And a familiar face walks in. And Farah recognizes him as the beautiful, scary man that she met on Calanmai. We come to find out this is the High Lord of the Night Court, Rhysand. And he's basically there to say, you run out of time, Tamlin. What are we gonna do?
She's getting impatient. At first he's just kind of like taunting him.
Right.
And then he's like, hold on. Why is this table set for 3?
Right.
And then he's like, you would glamour me? And then, like, he undoes the glamour somehow. I don't know.
He's pretty powerful.
Yeah. And he sees Farah, and he's like, I think he recognizes her, right?
Yeah, he recognizes her.
And he basically makes Tamlin and Lucian, right, get on their knees and beg.
Yeah.
To
basically, he's like, I should go tell her right now.
Yeah.
And they're like, don't, please don't. And he says, beg.
I know. They try to play it off too. Lucian's like, she's
my betrothed. Yeah, right. I forgot about that part. Yeah, he does. He does say that. But so they try to hide her, but it's not a good situation. He leaves. Tamlin is kind of freaking out. He's like, well, this is not good. So Farah and Lucian kind of leave him alone. They give him some time to himself. And Farah's in her room. Tamlin comes up and he's like, you have to go.
Oh, wait. I just want to say one thing.
Yeah.
So they find out that this High Lord's name is Rhysand. And he asks Farah for her name.
Right.
And she says Claire Better, which is one of Nesta's friends. And she just thought of the name because she was like, I don't want,
Yeah, I don't want this guy finding my family. So I'll just come up with a name. Claire Better. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know of a Claire Better.
Then he finally leaves.
Right.
Oh, and he's did we find that out right then?
No.
No? Okay.
Not specifically, but we do know that there's some...
Okay.
Yeah. It's very hard not to get into
spoilers. But we're doing pretty good.
We're doing good. We're staying on the book.
Yep.
On this book.
Yep.
I think this is the best way to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so then you're right. So they like the next morning, I think Tamlin.
Well, yeah, Tamlin comes in that night and he says, "You have to go. I'm sending you home. You need to leave. It's not safe here anymore." She's like, "What are you talking about? Like, you can't. You don't like. Isn't something gonna happen to you if you break the treaty?" And he's like, "Yeah, whatever. I don't care. It'll be fine.
I'll figure out the treaty.
I'll figure it out. Don't worry."
Right.
And so yeah, they finally have a moment, a real moment. And Farrah's like, "What the heck? You're still going to send me away?" He's like, "Yeah, I love you." He does tell her that he loves her. She doesn't say it back.
She freezes.
She freezes.
Like,
She's
I wanted to say it back.
I want to say it, but I just...
I'm like leaving.
Right. Next morning, carriage is packed. Lucian's pissed.
He's like, "Don't you just want a few more days with her?
Just a couple more days, Tamlin.
You could just keep her here.
You could keep
Wouldn't
her here.
hurt anything. You sure you don't have anything you'd like to say?"
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty upset with Tamlin, and he's upset with Farrah, too, for just giving up.
Right.
And she gets sent home. The story that her family was told was... Basically, Tamlin put a glamour on her family, saying she's going to take care of a dying aunt, and, she's going to be gone for a while. Well, her coming home meant that this aunt had passed, and she had inherited her fortune, Farrah had. And so she's going home, and her home is not that little cabin in the woods anymore. It is this, beautiful, mansion
That is, she says it's almost the size of Tamlin's.
Yeah.
So they're living in this beautiful manor. They have servants, people who work for them again, and
Tamlin paid for all of this.
Father, he's there, right?
Yeah, he's there.
Get my books mixed up. And her sisters are like, "What happened?" Elaine is like, "That had to be so sad. You were the only one who was there, and Father's gonna be so sad that he didn't get to say goodbye." And it's this long lost aunt that they've never known about.
Right.
And, so
and Farrah's kind of yeah, it was sad.
So sad.
Poor Aunt Ripley.
Yeah.
But Nesta isn't saying much. She's a little hesitant. So Father's happy, Father Archeron, and they he's going to throw a ball in her honor, and all is well, but Farrah is sad because she did love Tamlin, but she didn't tell him. She didn't want to leave the Spring Court. After all of this, she's like, I want to go home.
And she's worried about him.
She is.
Because she's like,
who was this guy? Who was this dude that came in? Who is this chick they keep talking about? What is happening? Is he alive? Is he dead? What happened? And so she's worried about all this.
She ends up talking to Nesta.
She does. And Nesta's like, I know. I know there is no Aunt Ripley.
She was like, "I thought maybe I imagined this big creature thing breaking into our home, but I went back and I saw these claw marks or something." And she's like, "Yeah, and then it all came back to me, and I remembered that you were taken by him, and I tried to come and get you." Nesta tried to come and get her.
That's big.
That is big.
That's a huge thing for Nesta. But no, somehow she was able to kind of break through the glamour. And
she says she has a very strong-willed mind.
Right.
So she didn't fully get glamour, and she was able to get everything to come back to her. And then Farrah is tells Nesta everything. And they kind of become close with this. And then finally... Okay, they go to the town, right? So okay, to make all of this believable, Tamlin ends up giving Farrah money because her aunt that she was supposed to be taking care of,
Right.
like, left everything to Farrah.
Right.
And so she goes around, she, like, starts giving money to everybody, and then she hears, or no, they're at dinner one night. Mm-hmm. And she hears that a girl in their town, Claire Better, mm-hmm. her house was tragically burned down.
Right.
And the
whole family died.
Yeah, the whole family died. All their servants.
Mm-hmm.
But they couldn't find Claire's body. Mm-hmm. And Farrah was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. Exactly. She's like, no. Oops.
Whoopsie.
It might be my fault.
Yeah. And so Nesta looks at her and she's like, no.
She's like,
This is
not.
So
Farrah basically, and this is when the music starts. This is when the ding ding ding.
Yeah.
Ding 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 ding. Yeah. This is like where I picture it really beginning.
Yes, really beginning. Nesta's like, you gotta go. Mm-hmm. You gotta go get your man.
Go get your man.
Fight this girl off.
Oof, who is she? She can go. You got her. You can do it. You can do it.
And so, yeah, so they end up telling, or not really telling, but like Nesta and Farrah are like having a conversation.
Right, and Elaine and Papa Archeron are like,
what is happening? And they're like, this is an ABC conversation,
right.
So you're way out of it.
Right. But they eventually, so they start talking about this, and Elaine's like, I remember.
Both of them end up remembering.
remember. Yeah, exactly. And so everyone remembers, but they're like, Farrah's got to go. Mm-hmm. She leaves. Mm-hmm. She gets on this horse. She goes toward the border. It's like, I think it's like 2 days to get to the wall. Mm-hmm. And then once she got to the wall, she's got to figure out where there's an opening in the wall. And it's like invisible. And so she finds it. She finds her way back to the spring court. Mm-hmm. And everything is wrecked.
Yep. Totally ramsacked. Mm-hmm. And just messed up. But then she hears something in the kitchen. She hides.
Yep.
And it ends up being Alice finding things, and Alice is like, you're dumb. You're
literally stupid.
And she starts telling her what she can about this sickness that ends up not being a sickness. Mm-hmm. It was a curse on Tamlin and his court. Mm-hmm. And basically, this girl gave him 7 times 7 years. Mm-hmm. And because she's like, oh, you won't be my boyfriend, so I'm gonna put a curse on you.
Right.
And and then she's like, there's still one part of the curse that I can't tell you. Mm-hmm. If I'm not able to say it, then she obviously still doesn't want you to know.
Right.
So then but Alice is like, I will take you to this like entrance. It'll take you right to this place called Under the Mountain.
Right.
And you just go have fun.
Yep.
Bye.
You have fun. Well, and she tells her, she says, all you had to do was tell him that you loved him.
And then it would all go away.
The curse was some girl had to kill a fairy with hate in her heart. She had to then fall in love with Tamlin and tell her that she loved him. And the curse would have been broken.
Because homegirl's name is Amarantha. And Amarantha, her sister, what's her name? Clythia? Weird name. Anyway, she fell in love with a human. Mm-hmm. And it ends up being like not real. And the human dude, his name's Jurian, he ends up killing her. Mm-hmm. And so
a lot of stuff.
That's why she's like, humans suck. They can't love anybody.
They can't love. So guess what, Tamlin?
And that's what she did. So she like did this like party thing.
Right. She had like a masquerade because she was the one. So we didn't mention this, but Lucian has a metal eye.
Yeah.
Because I believe it was Amarantha.
Yeah, it was Amarantha.
She took out his eye.
With her fingernail.
Ouch.
Ew.
First of all, it's disgusting. And to kind of like settle things and say, listen, I'm sorry. We're going to throw a party. Mm-hmm. And it's a masquerade. So Lucian doesn't have to feel so scarred and so noticed.
Let's all put on masks.
Right?
And they did.
Yeah.
And
but it was all a trap.
Yeah, it was all a trap. And then she was trying to get basically in Tamlin's pants.
Right.
And Tamlin tells her, I would sooner F a human than I would you.
Right.
Because he thinks that she's a horrible person. They're
Yeah.
like childhood friends.
Right.
Because Tamlin's dad sucked.
He was very connected with the King of Highburn. His father was. And that Amarantha is one of Hyburn's, like, queens, I guess. She is a high queen, is what they describe her as.
She called herself that. She's
that's
like
true.
a general.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. She did call herself high queen. You're correct.
So anyway, Alice tells Farrah all of this, and then
Farrah's like, "Oh my god."
Yeah. So she goes under the mountain, and she's like trying to be sneaky, but someone finds her, and she recognizes the voice, and it was the voice of the dude she heard in the woods with Tamlin and Lucien. And he ends up taking her and to Amarantha, and she's like, I'm here to claim my love. Yes. My high lord.
My high lord. And she said, oh, I knew this wasn't right. And she makes her turn around, she says, look over there.
Yeah.
Claire better.
And she Amarantha says to Tamlin, oh, how delicious.
How delicious.
You let me torture that other human girl when she wasn't even the one you fell in love with.
Right. And Farrah's like, oh my god, what?
What did I just walk into?
What?
Oh god.
So Amarantha's like, listen, sis. You're not getting him just because you're going to waltz in here and say you love him too late. However, I want to have some fun. And she comes up with 3 trials over the course of 3 months at the full moon of each month. If Farrah can complete all 3 trials, she can have Tamlin.
Yep, they can be free. But she also says, oh, and let's just like keep in mind, Tamlin is here. He's sitting next to her.
He's, on
his own little throne in his little mask.
Yep.
And he's just kind of staying quiet. Like, actually, I think at that first one, he's like a little mad.
He's showing a little bit of, emotion and stuff. But
right.
He's not much is happening.
Right. Because truly, like, Amarantha, like, she wouldn't have gone after another girl.
Yeah.
She would have just left it at Claire better. So... Anyway, she's like, okay, so you're going to do these 3 trials, right? Or here's a little riddle.
There's a little twist.
Yeah. And Farrah's like, I don't know. I don't even know how to read. I'll think about this later in life.
Yeah. But she's basically like, if you can solve this riddle, then you can have Tamlin and the Spring Court will be free immediately. And Farrah's like, oh, wait. What did I do? Right. What did I do? There's something about the wording. And Alice tells her, first of all, don't drink the wine.
It's different than the other fairy wine.
It's not like summer solstice. Don't drink the fairy wine. And don't make bargains.
With anyone.
Even if your life depends on it.
Farrah goes in, immediately makes a bargain.
Immediately. She's
Good
like,
job, Farrah.
Sorry, Alice. Sorry, Alice.
So she agrees to this, and they haul her off. She goes to a cell and gets moldy food.
She's tortured. I mean, beaten.
Oh, yeah. She, like, gets the crap beat out of her.
Yeah, her nose is broken.
By the
Lucien
adder.
comes in by the adder. Ugh, the adder. Ugh. Lucien comes in. He, like, fixes her nose, and he's like, listen, I can't, like, come in here that often, but Lucian's there. There's like a lot of people under this mountain. Like
everybody, like all like the nobility.
Right.
And then we find out later that all the like the lesser fairies, they are being held in camps.
Right.
So basically Amarantha is Hitler.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So anyway, first trial comes. And Farrah's like, I have no idea what this is going to be. She's got to fight this gigantic worm with like crazy teeth
and round hole, lots of teeth. Imagine the thing from SpongeBob.
I love when people compare it to that. It's so funny.
I know.
So yeah, she, long story short, defeats the worm.
Mm-hmm.
It comes at a price, though. She messes her arm up.
Mm-hmm.
Her left arm is mangled. I mean, messed up. Because she's fighting in mud and who knows what else.
She ends up covering herself in the mud.
She does, because the worm is blind.
Mm-hmm. She realizes it's blind. And
she sets a trap with bones.
Of other people that have died
other
from
people
the
that
same
have died.
worm.
Yes. But she does. She defeats the worm. Amarantha's like, ooh, man, that one really should have worked.
Yeah. And, this worm basically dies. She created, like, a ladder. Mm-hmm. And, I love, like, Lucian.
Oh,
at
to
some
your
point, yeah, he yells
or
to
behind
her
you
because
or whatever.
it got quiet and she was, like, gonna basically die. But then, she chucks a muddy bone.
She does.
At Amarantha. Mm-hmm. And, that's great. And also, just keep in mind, again, Tamlin's just
there.
sitting there, just not really doing much. And she's like, why?
Hello, look at me.
I'm here.
I'm literally fought a worm for
Your
you.
love.
Yeah.
It's
not even would you love me if I was a worm. Would you love me if I fought a worm for you?
Not even a tiny worm. A
like
giant
a big old worm. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So anyway.
Yeah.
Well, again, her arm's messed up.
Mm-hmm.
And she's hoping, okay, Lucian, please, Lucian, come save me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, our little friend Rhysand pays her a visit in her cell one night.
And it's also a night that she realizes, all right, I'm going to die.
I'm going to die. I got fevers. This is infected. I'm going to die.
Yeah, she's hungry, she's thirsty, she's nasty, she's covered in the worm's crap. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's gross.
It's very gross.
Rhysand comes in. He's like, that arm looks pretty rough. Mm-hmm. Let me cut you a little deal. He's like, for 2 weeks a month, I will fix your arm. But you have to come stay with me at the night court. You have to come stay with me at the
night court for 2 weeks every month.
And she's like, absolutely not.
No.
We'll not be doing that. I'd rather die.
Yeah.
And he says, all right, whatever. Well, he starts fading away. And she's like, hold on.
Thinks about her options. She's like, all right. Lucian might come in 5 minutes. He might come in 5 days.
Mm-hmm. And she knew she was dying. So she was a little bit desperate. Mm-hmm. And she was like, all right, I'll do it for 5 days a month. And he's like, 10. And they finally settle on a week. Mm-hmm. She's like, whatever. He grabs her hand. Little magic happens. It's healed. And she says, what did you do to my arm? And the first time I read this, I pictured just like Harry Potter's arm, like totally limp, you know?
Oh my gosh,
jelly.
yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, no. But no. But there's a tattoo all over her arm with an eye on her palm.
Right.
She's like, what does this do?
Right.
And he's like, well, it's tradition in my court that like all deals or whatever,
all bargains that are made be marked by
a tattoo.
She's
like, well, I hate you for it.
Yeah, hate
basically. You. So he's like, yeah, I think I'm gonna wait to tell Tam because this is gonna be too fun.
It's gonna be too good.
Right.
Yeah.
So so then it gets to her second trial. Her second trial is totally just the worst luck ever.
It's pretty awful. Yeah. Lucian is there, by the way. Lucian is also part of this trial. He's like chained up and she has to pull one of 3 levers, but she has to read.
And there's another riddle.
She has to read to figure out which is the correct one. And Lucian's like, we're dead.
Yeah.
That's it. We're dead.
He's like,
spikes are coming down as this is happening. So if she can't guess it in time, spikes are going to crush them.
His brothers are like going crazy.
Yeah.
They're like, yes, this is awesome. We're going to watch our brother
One less
die.
brother.
Yeah. And so, they, she's like, well, I can't read. So 1 is a bad number.
1, yeah, exactly.
And 2 is me and Tamlin. And 3 is 3 sisters crammed into a bed. So it has to be 2, right? That's what she says.
Yeah.
She lifts her hand up. she tries to pull it, and her arm, her tattooed arm, starts burning. And she's like, okay, ow.
Ow.
So she tries it again. Again, it happens. And she's like, okay, what is happening? And so then she puts her arm over, I think, to like one, right? And it burns again, and then she goes to like 3. And she's like, okay, nothing. So she pulls it, and it ends up being correct. But Lucian is there because he's being punished for helping her in the first trial.
Right. Exactly. But in that moment, she's like, this was the moment that was breaking her. Yeah. Because she's like, I almost died because I couldn't read. And she then hears this voice in her mind saying, don't cry. You look at her in the eye.
Count to 10.
You go to your cell, and you can do whatever you need to.
Yep.
And so she holds it together. She makes it back to her cell. She breaks down. Well, turns out this little tattoo on her arm connects her to a certain High Lord of Night. And she's like, great. Awesome. I mean, thanks, but what the heck?
She just can't understand why. Oh, and we forgot to say, like, in her first trial, they all took bets on who... how long it would take for her to die, and only one person said, I don't think she's gonna die, I think she's gonna win, and it was Reese Sand. So
right, exactly. Oh, and also in between these trials, after they made the bargain, they're like partying every night under the mountain. And he makes her dress in hardly anything. Yeah. And drink wine and dance. And she remembers nothing. Every night she goes over and over.
And that's how they reveal the tattoo to Tamlin.
Right.
And they can see that he's like pretty angry, but again, he's just like not saying anything.
Right.
Well, Lucian ends up coming to her cell, and he's like, I would have come and fixed your arm. And she's like, well, I was dying, Lucian. Like, what do you want me to do? Just wait it out for you? Right. And he's like, well, why would you make that bargain? And I don't know. But then he's like, well, don't you think Tamlin is trying not to give too much away on his face? Like, he doesn't want Amarantha to know what really affects him, when he does it to you. Right. Or when she does it to you. And so she's like, oh, okay, that's why Tamlin. Because she thought for a while he was just, like, under a spell. Right. And couldn't do anything. I did, too, first read. Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess that made more sense.
Right. So anyway, fast forward. We're approaching the final trial. Well, another extravagant party. But this time, she notices someone standing next to her. She's kind of alone. She's not... Usually Rhysand is, like, with her. Yeah. He, like, hasn't really left her side. And...
Party's just kind of getting started. Oh, and I just want to say quickly. So Alice gave her 2 rules. Don't make bargains and don't drink the fairy wine. Right. She made a bargain, and then Rhys made her drink the fairy wine.
Right. So Alice is probably... if Alice would have been there, she'd... Farrah... Really? I gave you 2 rules.
What are you doing?
So anyway, yes, leading up to the third trial, we're having a party, and she has not drank the fairy wine at this point. But she notices someone standing a little close to her. She realizes it's Tamlin. He's finally got a moment where he's free. He walks away into like a room. She follows him sneakily, and they kiss, and
it's the night before her last trial, so they're like, this very well could be like our very last moment together. And so he like kisses her, and she's like, all right, well, I'm gonna undo your belt buckle,
right? Like, if this is it, then whatever time we have. And then we hear, what?
Oh, I just was gonna say, so there's like these 2 like shadowy people who come in, like get Farrah ready for these parties, and they paint her. Yeah, they continue the designs of the tattoo all over her body, so the paint will smudge to anyone else's touch, and so Rhysand can know if someone has like touched her. Right, and so but it doesn't smudge for him.
Right.
So anyway, so it's all smudged up. So just kidding. Rhysand walks in on Tamlin and Farah, and he's like, naughty. That is so not okay, Tamlin. Go run along.
Right. Get out of here before she finds you.
Right. And so I don't know what he says to Farah. I forget.
Basically, like, what are you doing?
Right.
Like, idiot.
Right.
You
she could
idiot.
have come in here and seen you.
If she would have seen you guys, it'd have been over.
And then his attention snaps to the door.
Right.
And then he's like, just starts kissing her, like forcefully. And Amarantha and Tamlin walk in, and Amarantha is mad.
Right.
And Tamlin is mad, obviously. And Farah is mad. Everybody's mad.
Everybody's mad. Also, another mention, Amarantha and Rhysand are together. They call Rhysand Amarantha's whore.
Yeah.
As a, But, yeah, so Amarantha's like, what is... Like, she was already a little, like, irritated. Even though, like, she wants Tamlin. She's been kind of, Rhys has kind of been, like, her dog. Like, she sends him out to do the dirty work. And, yeah.
And uses him to please her.
Right. And yeah,
ways.
Exactly.
And also we forgot to mention this, but Rhysand can do something with minds. Like he can basically
he has like mind abilities.
Yeah, like he can kill people without even pulling his hands out of his pockets. And like, yeah. Anyway, so
anyway, yes, they find Farah and Rhysand in the room. Amarantha's mad. Tamlin's not really... I mean, he's mad, but he's not giving too much emotion. And she's like... Yeah. They kind of resume. Everyone kind of comes out and they kind of get back to the party, whatever. But
Rhysand is like, I'm tired of you tonight. Go back to your cell. And so she leaves, and all of these other fairies are like snickering and like laughing because they're like, ooh.
Right.
Yeah, they're all gross. Yeah, so after this, it's her third trial. She wakes up. Oh, no. Sorry. Rhysand ends up going to her cell later that night. And he's like all down in the dumps.
Right.
And I don't know. He kind of just like confides in her a little bit. He's like, well, if you don't win tomorrow, we're
doomed.
Yep.
It's over.
Yeah, he's just really down about it. And she's like, why are you here talking to me? And he's like, he basically just says like, I just wanted like a moment of peace.
Right.
And I forgot to add at some point sorry, this is so jumpy, but at some point, Farah is at like a really low place. I think it's after her second trial when she's in there like crying and stuff. She starts hearing this like music, and it's not like the raunchy music that they normally play. It's like this really pretty melody that she hears, and it kind of like brings her back, and it's like, okay, I can do this.
Right. Yeah. That was a nice moment because there's been a lot of torture and just bad, like really awful stuff that Farah was going through. And there's like even more that we haven't even mentioned, but like for the the gist of it is I mean it's awful. I mean, I can't even like think of a lot of it. It emotionally really gets me.
I know, like a lot of the images that Sarah J. Maas like paints with words.
I know.
Like it's
definitely
really upsetting. Like the Claire Better stuff.
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
and
definitely. Like, and there's like this one part where I guess when was this? It was right before a trial, I think. Like the summer court.
Oh yeah,
stuff.
I think it's like in between. Either the first and the second, or the second and the third. But I think it's between the second and the third.
I don't know, but basically, like, they catch this like person. It's it's the High Lord of the Summer Court, and this third read didn't catch that.
It's one of his.
No, it is the High Lord.
Do they get?
We're gonna have to cut this part out.
Okay.
It's the High Lord, and that's how Tarquin becomes the High Lord. Because they They say
it was.
Oh,
I thought Tarquin, because she recognizes Tarquin.
She does recognize Tarquin as being under the mountain. I know. I had to really think about this, but yes, it is actually the other High Lord. And
okay,
he ends up killing him, and that's how Tarquin became the High Lord.
Interesting.
I know.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, sorry.
Anyway,
we're back.
We're back.
We're gonna have to cut that part out.
Yeah.
It's kind of a spoiler.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Interesting. Yes. So.
I just ripped my hair out.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Third trial.
Yeah.
Farrah's like, ouch. I mean, okay. I had to fight a worm.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't finish telling that story.
Oh, yeah, right. You didn't.
So, basically, they catch this dude, and it's the High Lord of the Summer Court, and Amarantha is like, he was trying to escape. I want you to go into his mind and basically figure out what his plan was and then kill him. But basically make him like a walking zombie.
Right.
Like not actually kill him, but just kind of take away everything good in his life. And so Rhysand looks in his mind and he ends up just killing him. He's like, nope, it was just him. He just, it was just I don't know. He was just trying to get away, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
So, yeah, that happens.
Okay. Third trial?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's okay. So, we're at this point now. And Farrah's like, what in the world am I going to have to do? Well, she sees Amarantha with Tamlin. You know, they're in their usual spot. And she's like, you know, here's your last trial. You can end this if you want to just answer the riddle. And she's like, I don't know the answer to the riddle. Let's just continue. Well, they bring out 3 fae.
With hoods on.
Like, hoods on. And they each are holding a dagger. And
An ash dagger.
An ash dagger, correct. And Amarantha's like, kill each one. Stab them in the heart. And she's like, what? I don't want to do this.
She basically ends up being like, okay, whatever. They've got a hood on. I'm just going to disassociate. I'll just do this.
Right. If I can't see them, it'll be all right.
Right. But then, so she, like, picks up the first dagger, and then Amarantha's like, no. Wait a minute. They take the freaking thing off. And she has to look into this, like, young boy's eyes and, like, kill him. And she's like, just... Oh my gosh, just get
this
it
is
over
not
with.
only just for Tamlin and I. This is for the Spring Court. This is for
everyone.
The world.
Not just Spring
Court.
Prythian.
This is for Prythian.
So she ends up doing it. And
it's the first one.
Gets to the second one. It's this girl. She's saying this prayer over and over. And like, okay, I can tell by the way she's saying this prayer and the way she's looking at me, she's just basically saying, just do it. Just do it. It's for the good of Prythian. Just stab me. And so Farrah does it. And she stabs and she's like, okay, one more. And then maybe I'm just going to turn the dagger on myself.
Right.
Because this
is awful. Yes.
Yeah. So they get to the third person.
The hood comes off. It's our boy Tamlin.
Tam, she does a double take.
She's like,
she looks up
were you just up there?
And he turns into the adder.
So she is now like, well, what am I supposed to do? And she said, you can have him. You can still have Tamlin.
But you got to kill him.
And so she's really thinking through everything. She's thinking through everything. And she's remembering, Alice told her, there's more to the curse. There's more to the curse that she doesn't want you to know about. So she's thinking back, and she's thinking back to every conversation, everything Lucien told her, everything Tamlin told her, everything Alice told her, everything.
Everything she overheard.
Everything she overheard, too. Yes. And she remembers a conversation she overheard Lucien and Tamlin having. They were arguing. And Lucien mentions Tamlin having a heart of stone. She's like, that's interesting. Well, also, that conversation she overheard with them and the adder, the adder also mentions he has a heart of stone. So she's like, okay, I could be chancing this here, but I'm gonna do it. And
Tamlin,
she kind of,
she kind of like looks, and he sees her like putting this together, and he kind of doesn't like smile, but he kind of gives her like this confirmation look, like, okay, you're putting it together, come on, girl.
Right.
So she's like, all right, I'm gonna just do it.
I'm gonna do it.
Sorry if you die.
Yeah.
So she does it.
She stabs him in the heart, and it's like a thud. And he has a heart of stone.
I mean, he's still in pain.
He's in pain. No, he's hurting.
And his magic is like dulled because Amarantha took all of their magic.
Right.
So, or not all of it, but most of the High Lord's magic. And so he's like having trouble healing.
Yeah, he's like, not healing as fast. Amarantha is not happy.
Yeah.
She is absolutely pissed. She starts, and it's right then, she starts fighting Farah, right? Like, she starts...
basically throwing a tantrum.
And she starts, hitting her, beating her up. And
Farah is like dying on the ground basically because she's getting the crap beat out of her once again, and she's already weak from all of this the past 3 months.
Right.
And then she's like, oh, I realized the answer.
Right.
The answer is
she solves
love.
the riddle. And then Amarantha kills her.
Oh, because everyone, all the other Fae and stuff, they're like, okay, we'll free him, Amarantha. Come on, girl.
Right.
You said that they could be freed.
She's like, no.
Oh, I never said immediately
right.
to the challenges. I can keep them here as long as I want. And then, but then when Farah answers the riddle and she can be freed immediately, she snaps her neck. And Farah, she's dead, but she's... kind of still there.
Oh, and real quick too, one of the daggers is laying around, and Rhysand actually goes to stab Amarantha. He gets knocked away, and he's kind of like out.
Yeah.
So anyway,
then she's like, so Farah, she's kind of like hanging on by just her spirit, basically, and she like says that there's kind of like this line. She says it's back to home, and it's kind of like still tugging it, like still hanging in there. And she starts hearing this like distant call of her name, and it's like, Farah, Farah, and it was Rhysand calling her, like, and he's like trying to fight Amarantha because Tamlin's still not up on his feet. He's still holding his wound, just trying to like make it stop bleeding. Right. Finally, he gets up. He turns beast mode.
Oh yeah.
And kills Amarantha. And then he goes over to Farah and he's like holding her. He's like, oh my love, all of this stuff. Then how does it happen?
One of the High Lords, I think it might be Dawn or Day. They're like, we're sorry, it's done, and he decides to try to give, a bit of his power to Farah, and all the High Lords end up giving a little piece of themselves to Farah, and she realizes that there's this way back to reality, to life.
Back to reality.
Yep, there goes gravity. Yep. So yeah, she goes toward that, and she comes back. However, she's no longer the human girl that she once was. She comes back as a high fae, and she's but she's feeling this tremendous guilt for killing those innocent fairies.
Yeah. She goes to sleep for a while. Nobody blames her for that.
Yeah, she needed to sleep in a bed for sure.
They stay under the mountain for just a few days longer. And she starts feeling this like tug almost. And it leads her to a balcony. And Rhysand is out there. And he... he has his wings. And she didn't even really know.
She didn't know he had wings.
She did actually know he had wings.
Oh, because he did. Yeah.
That's a part we forgot. It's not really that important. Basically, she basically had to clean like lentils out of his fireplace.
Right.
Didn't know it was his room. It ended up being his room. Then he ordered everybody to like start feeding her good food.
Right.
And stop giving her chores.
Right.
Anyway, that's a way far back there.
Right.
But anyway, back to reality. Go ahead.
Yes. So, and this is also the first time she's seen like any kind of sunlight.
Yeah.
In 3 months. This was this one part that she never got to go to. And so they're standing there together, and, you know, he's like, how does it feel to be immortal? And she's like, I still have my human heart. I still feel.
Avril Lavigne just played in my head now.
Which one?
How does it feel
to
be different than me? Are we the same?
Gosh. And so, yeah, so he's like, I'm going home. And she's like, yeah, and he's like, I guess I won't see you again. She's like, yeah, you will. She holds that hand up because they still have this bargain. And, you know, he kind of laughs it off, whatever. And then he starts to kind of fade away.
Like they talk about, like, she starts talking about, her guilt and stuff.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, maybe it'll eventually go away, but I'm sure that's just like the human part of me still taking over or whatever. And he says, what does he say?
Well, I know he tells her, be glad
of your human heart. Yeah. And then after that, he is like about to leave or whatever. And he like ends up kind of pausing and taking a step back and looking shocked, and then he just goes. He just winnows away. And she's like, oh, all right, well, good talk.
Good talk.
Goes back with Tamlin. They go. Is that the end of the book?
Yeah, they go to the spring court. And they live happily ever after.
Yeah.
that is A Court of Thorns and Roses, book 1.
Beauty and
the Beast.
Yeah.
It's an incredible book.
It really is.
I mean, and there's so much. Obviously, we gave you like the however long this is version of it. But it's just the way she writes stories. It's amazing. I mean, again, she knows how to lock people in. And yeah,
it's such a good story. We're coming up on the 10-year anniversary.
Yeah,
that's why we kind of want to do these overview videos or podcasts. To try, you know, just to get a little caught up, you know.
Yeah,
the people who don't want to read it,
right?
Get our version.
You want our version?
Right.
Yeah, they're probably gonna be like, and who did what?
And who was where?
Who was what? What was the name?
You were where?
You with who? Yeah, but no, it's fun to kind of go over it, and it's really fun to read them again, and it's just the second book's my favorite.
Definitely.
Very excited. And this was really, honestly, that was the best way to talk about it without spoiling the rest of the series.
Just doing an overview.
Yes.
Yeah. So after we do all of our overviews, so we'll do an overview of the next book, which is A Court of Mist and Fury. And we'll continue with all of the books. And then after, we're going to get into real theory-based and conversations. This is a series that we can really have really good debates about.
For sure,
we do plan to be releasing those podcasts before the 10-year anniversary.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, of course, rereading with the Elizabeth Evans version.
Yes,
I'm so excited.
So excited.
And they're different series, but aren't they supposed to be releasing a dramatized Throne of Glass?
They are. It's gonna be like forever until all of it's out.
Yeah.
But I think the first one comes out in like May.
Oh, why can't they hurry up? How hard can it be?
I don't know. And of course it'll be like part 1. And then you'll have to wait like another month for part 2. It's stupid.
Well,
I did hear, I think that part 1 and 2 will be out of Onyx Storm dramatized by sometime in May.
Really?
I think that's what I read earlier. I saw it today. I'll have to look that up.
Okay.
But yeah, some good stuff.
Oh, that'll be so good.
I know. So we're getting through this. It's gonna be fun. I'm so excited, and very excited for Throne of Glass. Throne of Glass is another one we're gonna talk about at some point too.
Yeah, we actually kind of wanted to start Throne of Glass again, but we were like, okay, if we're gonna do the Sarah J. Maas universe again, we're gonna start with ACOTAR.
Yeah, basically we're basically restarting our whole journey.
Yeah.
Of SJM, because we started with ACOTAR, went to Throne of Glass, and then went to Crescent City.
Yeah.
So we're basically doing that again.
I can't wait to reread Crescent City.
Me too, actually.
I know people don't like it, but I really liked it.
Too.
It took a long time to like it. It was like chapter 37 until I was like, oh, okay, I kind of am starting to like this first book of this series.
Right.
But then after that, I was like, yes,
I'm in. Let's do it. Yeah.
Everyone hates like the second book. I love it.
I liked the second book.
Yeah. All of it is so good.
It really is. It really is. But yes, so definitely look forward to upcoming episodes. And yeah, we will have a lot more to talk about regarding ACOTAR and a lot of other books in general. And
we're gonna do a reread after all of these. We're gonna do a reread of Onyx Storm. Honestly, I could read the whole series again.
I know. I think I want to wait till the dramatized version is out.
Really? To reread Onyx Storm?
Yeah.
Probably. I agree, because I don't like that author. Or not
the narrator. I don't like her either.
Oh gosh, I know.
That's kind of why I was like, I have to read this. And luckily I was sick.
Yeah.
And got to have 2 days to read it.
Yeah.
That was good.
I can't read. I'm like Farrah. I'm just kidding. I just hate reading. I just always fall asleep.
That was the first time I'd done that in a long time, because obviously we're doing so much audiobooks. But yeah, I definitely, that was it's fun. I haven't sat and read for hours in a long time. Yeah. So it was fun.
Yeah. I would love to be that kind of person who could do that, but I end up reading like the same 2 sentences over and over again.
Yeah. When it gets to really serious parts, you get to take your bookmark and like go line by line. That way you don't accidentally read a spoiler. Yeah. It's fun. It's a good time.
Maybe I should start doing it like that.
It helps. It does help. Okay. Well, this was fun.
This was fun. Should we tell them what we're doing in the next video?
Sure.
Okay. Oh, our last video. We'll tell you what our last video was.
Yes.
Our last video was a podcast about aliens. Our experience of being abducted. Yes. And other stories.
Yeah, some other stories. So that was fun. Definitely check that out. And then next episode, we're going to be doing blind karaoke. So that's gonna be, I'm very excited for that. That's gonna be fun.
Me too.
And then we have so many things we want to talk about on the pod,
so many ideas. New podcasts like weekly-ish, and pretty consistently weekly
pretty consistent now. Other than when I was sick.
Katie was sick for like 2 weeks.
I was down.
I mean, she's got an inhaler here right now here. She hasn't had an inhaler since she was like, I don't know,
like 7.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been crazy. But yeah, that and like the one podcast episode that just was unusable. We're back though.
Back, we want better.
Yeah.
I want you more than ever. Don't just let it.
Gosh. Okay, but yes. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, thanks for having this conversation with us. Beside us, next to us. We are 2 girls with no lives, and this has been our podcast. Goodbyes are the hardest part.
They are. It's even on the phone. We have a hard time saying goodbye.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Okay, right. 3, 2, 1. Bye. Oh my god.